Agreed to, and I call the member for Kerr.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I speak in support of the Appropriations Bill and would like to touch on one issue which is particularly relevant to the people in my electorate of Curtin. As at the last census, 15% of the Australian population, 3.8 million people, were aged 65 years or older. In my electorate of Curtin, we have a slightly higher percentage than the national average. There are close to 24,000 people who are aged over 65 years of age. It's approximately 16.5% of Curtin's population. Often referred to as the baby boomers, their expectations and desires regarding how they want to live their lives are changing, with many preferring to stay in their own home for longer. One of the consequences of this is that many older people do end up living alone, particularly after the death of a spouse, a loved one, or other family members. In fact, the statistics show that close to a third of all seniors live alone. According to research in this area, living alone is generally considered to be a risk factor for social isolation. That is particularly so when other environmental factors like the loss of physical or mental capacity or the loss of friends or family are taken into account. Research has shown that social isolation, that is, the objective state of having minimal contact with others, is associated with increased mortality, poorer health behaviours and biological effects such as high blood pressure. It is currently estimated that 1 in 5 older Australians are socially isolated, with the highest rates occurring in largest urban regions and in sparsely populated states and territories. I know that many members in this place would have had the opportunity while out in their community to chat with an elderly person who lives alone. This has been a common experience for me as I have met with residents in my local community. Some are clearly thriving. I recently met one, a lady who proudly declared herself to be older than 90, fixing her car in the driveway. She was ostensibly waiting for her son-in-law, but she was doing a far better job on her car than I ever could hope to. But there are others who are clearly not thriving. During the election, I met a woman while outdoor knocking, also aged 90, who told me she woke up every morning disappointed that she was waking up. She had no visitors, would often go weeks without speaking with anyone, did not know why she got out of bed in the morning, and felt like there was no purpose or meaning in her life. It was heartbreaking. Research indicates that introducing interventions as part of a wider strategic approach helps to address social isolation. The sort of initiatives which have been shown to have the best effect are those which target specific groups of older people, use existing community resources, use volunteers to run programs, use targeted and tailored approaches, and involve older people in the planning, delivery and evaluation of these programs. I would like to note at this point that there are a number of not-for-profit organisations and volunteer groups within my electorate of Curtin that actively engage with isolated elderly people in Curtin. They do a remarkable job and I commend them all on it. But the fact is we need more people and we need more reach. In this context, I would like to acknowledge the government's $10 million investment in the Seniors Connected program, which will provide grant funding to community organisations to deliver activities to address loneliness and social isolation amongst senior Australians, helping them to lead meaningful and independent lives in retirement in their own home. $2.5 million per year will be made available over the next 4 years for these initiatives, some of which have already been identified. Increased funding for phone support services. The number of senior Australians who are able to access phone support is expected to increase from around 1,400 a year to 6,500 a year, 65,000. The expansion of the Village Hub services, which provides support and camaraderie for members, helping them to age well and lead meaningful lives in their retirement. And encouraging volunteering activity among senior Australians to improve their sense of connection and purpose. Other initiatives and service providers are going to be identified over the coming years, and I would encourage all of the providers and groups already operating in my electorate of Curtin to look to this opportunity to supplement the great work they are already doing. By way of finishing, our government's support for older generation matters to me and it matters to the people in my electorate of Curtin. I commend the Minister on all he's doing and ask that they outline some of the further initiatives being undertaken.
Question